Welcome, dear listener, to another quiet journey through time on a drowsy historian. Tonight, I invite you to settle in, close your eyes if you wish, and drift with me into the depths of the 19th century. Imagine yourself wrapped in warmth, far from the chill and damp of a bygone world, as we gently explore the life of those who toiled in the darkness below ground. In the age of Queen Victoria, when the empire was expanding and industry roared across the land, the heart of progress was fueled by coal. Coal heated homes, powered factories, and drove the steam engines that stitched the country together. Yet, for those who brought it to the surface, life was anything but bright. This is a story of men, women, and children bound to the pit, laboring endlessly in narrow tunnels where the sun never reached. We will walk through their daily routines, explore the human stories behind major disasters, and glimpse the strange superstitions that grew in the shadows. From humble cottages in soot-stained towns to the lavish drawing rooms of the mine owners, we will contrast lives shaped by coal. So, take a deep breath, and as the world around you grows quieter, let us begin. Imagine the soft creak of wooden beams, the faint flicker of a miner's lamp, and the muffled rhythm of shovels deep in the earth. Our first chapter begins where every miner's day began, with endless shoveling in the pit. Chapter 1. Endless shoveling in the pit. Picture a small village in the rolling hills of northern England. Rows of soot-darkened cottages line muddy lanes. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, mingled with the faint tang of coal smoke. It is early morning. The first light of dawn barely filters through the low clouds. A miner rises from his bed, worn and weary from countless days past. The single room he shares with his family is cold. A few embers in the hearth struggle to warm the air. He dresses quickly, pulling on coarse woolens and heavy boots caked in the residue of the previous shift. In one calloused hand, he carries his Davy lamp, a small metal cylinder fitted with a protective gauze. It will be his only light deep underground. The path to the mine is familiar. Others join him along the way, boots crunching over frozen mud, their breath misting in the morning chill. There's little conversation. The rhythm of their lives is dictated by the pit, and today will be no different from yesterday. A constant struggle shaped by darkness and dust. At the colliery yard, the men gather. The pit head rises before them. A stark wooden frame with iron pulleys groaning under the weight of cables. They wait in quiet lines, faces lined with grime, eyes dulled by fatigue. One by one, they step into the cage, a crude platform suspended by chains. The whistle blows. The cage shudders, then descends rapidly into the shaft. The journey downward is swift and rough. Walls of slick stone flash by in the weak lamplight. The air grows colder, then damp, then thick with moisture. Finally, the cage jerks to a stop. The miners step into the low, narrow tunnels of the seam. The ceiling is barely high enough to stand. Water drips from the walls, pooling on the uneven floor. Work begins at once. With pick and shovel, the men chip away at the coal face, their efforts filling the gloom with echoes of metal on stone. Each swing brings a cloud of fine dust. It settles on skin, clothes, hair, and lungs. Breathing is slow and labored. There is no fresh air, only the stale, heavy atmosphere of the pit. The work is repetitive and unending. Shovel after shovel, the miners load the coal into wooden carts. The carts are pushed along iron rails to the shaft, where they will be hauled to the surface. There's little room to maneuver. The tunnels are claustrophobic, pressing in on all sides. The dim light from the Davy lamp reveals only a small circle ahead. The rest fades into shadow. The miner works without pause. His arms ache. His back bends under the weight of the task. Sweat mixes with coal dust, forming streaks across his face. The silence is broken only by the scrape of shovels and the occasional distant creak of timbers. Every hour is much the same as the last. The rhythm of their lives continues, shaped by the endless need for coal. Occasionally, a shift leader will pass through, his lamp casting eerie patterns on the rough walls. He checks the progress, offers a few clipped words, then moves on. Time is difficult to measure underground. The men rely on the feel of their bodies, the slow progression of weariness to mark the hours. Meals are brief and taken in the darkness. From a tin pail, the miner eats cold bread and cheese, washed down with tepid water. There's no respite from the dust. Even in moments of rest, it clings to every surface. Conversations are few and quiet, voices lowered by the weight of exhaustion. As the day wears on, the tunnels grow more oppressive. The air thickens, laced with the smell of sweat, coal, and damp wood. The faint hope of sunlight feels impossibly distant. Still, the miner continues, shovel after shovel, driven by the unspoken knowledge that his family depends on every ton he brings to the surface. By the time the whistle sounds again, signaling the end of the shift, the miner's body is numb with fatigue. His clothes are blackened, his skin raw from the grit. Slowly, he and his comrades make their way back to the shaft. The cage rises, groaning under its load. Emerging into the gray light of late afternoon, the miner breathes deeply, though the air above ground holds its own haze of smoke and soot. The walk home is slow. His movements are stiff, every muscle protesting. But tomorrow, the rhythm will begin again. The pit will call, and the endless shoveling will resume. For now, though, he steps through his door, greeted by the familiar sense of home and the gentle murmur of his children. In this brief moment, there's comfort. The darkness of the pit fades, if only for a while. Later that evening, the miner sits quietly by the hearth. The flickering fire offers a modest warmth, though it can do little to soothe the deep ache in his limbs. His wife tends to their small supper. The children sit nearby, eyes wide as they listen to their father's low voice. Yet even in these gentle moments, the miner's mind remains tethered to the pit. He knows the toil awaits him again with the coming dawn. Life is structured around the rhythms of the colliery. 6 days a week, the pattern repeats. Rise in the dark, descend into the pit, labor for countless hours, and return home weary. Sundays offer the only respite, a precious day of rest and worship. Yet even then, the weight of exhaustion lingers in the bones. The health toll is slow, but certain. The constant inhalation of coal dust settles deep within the lungs. Many miners develop a persistent cough, a dry, rattling sound that worsens with time. Known among them as the miner's cough, it is the first sign of a condition they all dread, but seldom speak of. The slow suffocation of black lung is a shadow that follows every man underground. Despite this, the work continues. For many families, mining is not a choice, but a necessity. The wages, though meager, provide food for the table and coal for the hearth. The pit provides employment, and with it, a fragile sense of stability. The miner's wife understands this reality all too well. She manages the household with care, stretching each coin to its limit. The home is kept tidy, despite the ever-present dust brought in from the pit. Clothes are scrubbed by hand, though the grime is stubborn. Meals are simple, built from what can be afforded. Through it all, she offers quiet support, knowing her husband's burdens. In the village tavern, after a long shift, some miners gather. Over pints of dark ale, they speak in low voices of the day's work, the condition of the tunnels, and the rumors of new seams being opened. There's a sense of camaraderie here, forged by shared hardship. Jokes are exchanged, though laughter is muted by fatigue. Beneath the surface, there is a constant awareness of the dangers that accompany each descent. Accidents are an ever-present threat. Roof collapses, runaway carts, and the sudden release of poisonous gases have claimed many lives. Each miner knows someone lost to the pit. The memorials in the churchyard bear silent witness to the cost of coal. Even so, there is little choice but to return day after day, driven by duty and necessity. For younger men, the pit holds a certain grim pride. To be a miner is to be a man of strength and resilience. Among the older workers, however, a weariness settles in. They move more slowly, their bodies marked by years of toil. Their eyes reflect a quiet understanding of the risks and the toll. Occasionally, news from the outside world reaches the village. Reports of strikes in distant collieries, debates in Parliament over working conditions. Yet change is slow to come. The owners of the mines hold considerable power. The voices of the miners, though growing louder through emerging unions, are often dismissed. For now, survival depends on endurance, not reform. In the quiet of night, the miner lies awake, muscles sore beneath the rough blanket. His thoughts drift to the narrow tunnels, the endless shoveling, and the weight of another day. Yet amidst the fatigue, there is a simple hope that his labor will secure a better life for his children. Perhaps one day they might find work above ground, free from the darkness of the pit. Outside, a cold wind stirs the soot-darkened eaves. The village sleeps, wrapped in uneasy dreams. And beneath the earth, the pit waits, unchanged. It will call again with the morning light, and the rhythm of life will begin anew. The miner closes his eyes, seeking what rest he can, knowing that dawn will come all too soon. Now, let us gently move forward to glimpse another face of this world. In the next chapter, we will step into the lives of the youngest miners whose days began not in schoolrooms, but deep within the tunnels, chained to the coal wagon. Chapter 2. Chained to the coal wagon, the life of child miners. Picture again the narrow lanes of the mining village. But now imagine them from a smaller perspective. A boy of 7 or 8 pulls on a patched woolen jacket. His face is pale beneath the smudges of coal dust. Beside him, his mother ties a rough scarf around his neck. It is still before dawn, the household dark except for the faint glow of embers in the hearth. The boy's father is already at the pit. Now it is the child's turn to follow. In this time, childhood offers little protection from labor. In the eyes of the mine owners, small bodies fit easily into the low tunnels. They are suited for the work of hauling coal wagons through narrow seams where grown men cannot go. Many families rely on the earnings of their children, meager as they are. The boy carries no lamp of his own. Instead, he clutches a small tin container of cold porridge and bread. His bare feet tread the cold mud of the yard as he joins a few others, fellow trappers and hurriers. Together they make their way to the pit head, eyes heavy with sleep. There's little ceremony to their descent. The cage lowers them into darkness swiftly. At the bottom, the boys scatter to their tasks. Some serve as trappers, opening and closing heavy wooden doors to control the airflow in the mine. Others, known as hurriers, are tasked with pulling loaded wagons of coal along the narrow passageways. Our boy today is a hurrier. A leather strap is fastened about his waist, another about his forehead. He crouches low in the tunnel, the strap attached to a small iron-railed wagon. With a grunt, he leans forward, dragging the cart through the darkness. The tunnel is scarcely 3 feet high. The floor is slick with coal dust and water. Progress is slow. the boy's breath loud in the confined space. There's no light but the faint flicker from distant lamps. The boy navigates by feel and memory. His muscles strain with each movement. The strap bites into his skin. The sound of metal wheels grates against stone. In the tightest spots, he must wriggle on hands and knees, guiding the cart through bends and dips. The air is close, thick with dust. The child's lungs labor to draw breath. Conversation is rare. Only the occasional shout from a passing miner or the creak of timbers interrupts the heavy silence. For hours, the boy repeats this task, hauling load after load from the coal face to the shaft. Meals are brief, snatched in darkness. He eats sitting on the cold stone floor, fingers grimy, bread crumbly and dry. There is no schooling for these children, no play. Their world is the pit, its shadows their constant companion. Injury is common. A misstep on a slippery rail, a sudden collapse of the ceiling, or a runaway cart can maim or kill. Yet there is little choice but to return each day. Families depend on every penny earned, and the owners demand steady output. Boys as young as 5 work in some collieries, though inspectors, when they visit, often find older children presented in their place. Above ground, society is slowly becoming aware of these conditions. Campaigners write articles and deliver speeches. Reformers argue in Parliament. But for now, the mines remain largely untouched by new laws. Underground, the children labor on, their youth consumed by the pit. In the dim hours of afternoon, the shift nears its end. Our boy, aching and weary, drags one final load toward the shaft. His movements are slow, breath ragged. When at last the signal sounds, he joins the others, climbing into the cage for the ascent. The return to the surface is a small relief, though the body remains sore, the mind clouded with fatigue. Back in the village, the boy's mother greets him with a quiet embrace. His small form is coated in black dust. She washes him with warm water, scrubbing gently, though the grime is stubborn. A simple meal follows, then sleep. The pattern will repeat with the dawn. Such was the life of countless children in the collieries, their days marked by darkness and toil. The rhythm of their young lives shaped not by learning or play, but by the constant struggle underground. Now, as we continue our journey, let us look closer at the silent threat that followed all who labored in the mines. In the next chapter, we explore the slow and deadly grip of Black Lung, the killer of the collieries. The boy's body stirs in restless sleep. Though the night is still, the ache in his limbs lingers. Dreams are brief and uneasy, haunted by narrow tunnels and endless loads. At dawn, he rises again, bleary-eyed. There is no question of staying home. The mine waits, and with it another day of toil. Morning routines unfold in familiar fashion. His mother helps him dress in clothes already worn thin by work. A small bundle of food is prepared, a crust of bread and a wedge of cheese. Outside, the village is cloaked in mist. The path to the pit is well trodden, boots leaving dark prints in the soft earth. The descent into the shaft feels colder today. Damp air clings to the skin. In the tunnels, the boy resumes his task. Each pull of the cart strains weary muscles. The strap across his back rubs raw against the skin. But there is no pause, no respite. The overseers expect steady progress. The boy's companions share the same burden. In the half-light, their young faces are streaked with soot. Eyes peer out beneath tangled hair. Conversation is sparse, voices hushed. Each is wrapped in their own struggle. The rhythm of their lives echoes in the clink of chains, the scrape of wheels. Occasionally, an older miner offers a kind word, a small gesture of encouragement. Among the men, there is a certain protectiveness toward the youngest workers. Yet the demands of the pit leave little room for mercy. Every hand is needed to meet the quotas. The scene must be cleared, the wagons filled. Injuries are frequent. A sudden slip on a slick rail can crush a limb beneath a heavy cart. The collapse of rotten timbers may bring stone and debris raining down. There are few medical remedies underground. Cuts are bound with rags, bruises endured in silence. Only the worst cases see the light of day above. The boy learns to listen for danger, to read the subtle creaks and shifts of the earth. Experience teaches caution. Yet no skill can prevent this slow toll on the body. The lungs fill with dust, the back bends under strain. Years of such labor steal away strength and health before adulthood is reached. Above ground, reformers continue their efforts. Reports of child labor circulate in London. Parliament debates new laws to limit the youngest workers. Inspectors visit some collieries, but often with warning given. The owners ensure that only the older boys are seen. In the depths of the pit, little changes. For the boy's family, the wages he brings are vital. Each coin helps pay for bread, coal, and rent. There is pride in his contribution, though it comes at great cost. His mother watches with quiet worry as her son grows pale and thin. Yet without his earnings, they would face even greater hardship. As seasons pass, the boy's world remains bounded by the pit. He grows stronger in some ways, hardened by labor, yet weaker in others. Coughs come more often, deep and lingering. Joints ache even in youth. The simple joys of childhood, play, and learning are lost to the darkness below. Still, the boy perseveres. Among the others, bonds of friendship form. Shared trials create a quiet camaraderie. In the rare moments of rest, they sit together, voices low. Hopes for the future are whispered, dreams of life beyond the mine. Yet such dreams are fragile. The pit's demands are constant, its grip hard to escape. As the boy nears his 12th year, there is talk of new laws coming. Perhaps, soon, the youngest will no longer be sent below ground. But until that day, the routine holds. Rise with the dawn, descend into darkness, and labor until the whistle calls them home. Let us now turn from these youngest workers, whose burdens weighed so heavily, to another silent foe within the mines. In the next chapter, we explore the slow, creeping danger that awaited all who breathed the air below. The black lung, the silent killer of the collieries. Chapter 3, Black Lung, the slow killer of the collieries, in the dim light of the early morning. Another miner pulls on his work clothes. His movements are slower now, more deliberate. He has worked the pit for nearly 20 years. His face is lined not only with age, but with the wear of countless hours underground. He coughs softly as he laces his boots. The sound is dry and rasping, a cough that never quite leaves him. For many in the collieries, this cough is an accepted part of life. Known among the miners as the dust, it begins with a faint tickle in the throat, a persistent need to clear it. Over time, the cough deepens. It comes in fits, leaving the chest tight and breath short. In the stillness of night, it is worse, breaking sleep with its ragged rhythm. The cause is simple, though unseen. Day after day, miners inhale the fine particles of coal dust that fill the air below ground. The dust settles in the lungs, layer upon layer, year after year. With each breath, the body absorbs what it cannot expel. Over time, the lungs stiffen, the airways narrow. The medical name is pneumoconiosis, though most simply call it black lung. There is no cure. The condition progresses slowly, relentlessly. Early symptoms are dismissed, accepted as part of the miner's lot. Only when breath becomes labored, when climbing a few steps leaves one gasping, do men begin to reckon with the truth. The dust has claimed another victim. In the pit, little can be done to avoid the danger. The ventilation is poor. Even the best-kept collieries offer scant protection. The davy lamps provide light, but the air remains thick with invisible hazards. Masks are rare, impractical in the heat and exertion of the tunnels. The miners know the risk but have no choice. To feed their families, they must return each day, breathing the dust anew. Older miners speak quietly of comrades lost to the disease. Men once strong and able, now reduced to breathless shadows of themselves. Some leave the pit early, forced into retirement when their bodies can no longer endure the labor. Others press on, coughing through each shift, knowing the inevitable outcome. The impact on families is heavy. Wives watch with growing fear as their husbands weaken. Children hear the coughing through thin walls at night. The loss of a miner's earnings can plunge a household into hardship. Support is limited. The owners acknowledge no responsibility. Compensation, if offered, is meager and rare. Some doctors in the mining towns grow concerned. They speak of the rising toll, the need for better ventilation, for protective measures, yet their voices are often ignored. The demands of industry take precedence. Coal must be extracted and profits maintained. The suffering of the miners remains hidden beneath the ground. In certain villages, the effects are all too visible. Streets echo with the sound of labored breathing. Black-streaked handkerchiefs are common sights. The graveyards fill with men struck down in their prime, their epitaphs a quiet testament to the dangers of the trade. Despite this, the miners endure. There is pride in their work, a stoic acceptance of hardship. To labor in the pit is to provide to support one's family. The risks, though great, are borne with resilience. Among comrades, there is understanding, a shared burden carried in silence. As new generations enter the mines, older men watch with concern. They see the same patterns repeating. Young lungs will face the same dust, the same slow decline. Without change, the cycle continues unchecked. In distant London, reformers speak again of miners' health. Reports circulate, debates stir. But the wheels of progress turn slowly. For now, the miners face each day with the knowledge that every breath carries a hidden cost. The dust fills their lungs, unseen but ever present. As we leave this somber chapter behind, let us turn to another overlooked group within the mines. Not men or children, but the small, patient creatures who labored in the dark alongside them. In the next chapter, we will meet the pit ponies, the forgotten workers underground. The miner wakes with a start, breath catching in his chest. The room is still, the faint light of dawn creeping through the curtains. Another coughing fit seizes him, dry and sharp, leaving him weary before the day has begun. His wife stirs beside him, concern in her eyes. She says nothing. Knowing words bring little comfort. Breakfast is simple, a bowl of porridge, a weak cup of tea. The miner eats slowly, between fits of breath. Outside, the village stirs to life. Smoke rises from chimneys. Boots crunch in the street. It is another day, and despite the ache in his lungs, the miner will go to work. At the pit head, familiar faces greet him with nods. Among them, some cough as he does, their voices rough with the same affliction. There is a silent fraternity here, built on years of shared labor and hardship. They understand what words cannot fully express. The dust spares few who spend their lives underground. The descent into the shaft is routine, though each step takes more effort. In the tunnels, the air is close, heavy with moisture and the scent of coal. The lamps flicker, casting small circles of light in the darkness. The miner sets to work, pick in hand, though each swing costs him dearly. Every motion brings a fresh cloud of dust. It hangs in the air, invisible and inescapable. Breathing grows harder as the shift wears on. The miner pauses often, leaning against the rough wall, chest heaving. Yet there is no alternative. To stay idle risks dismissal. The rhythm of labor must continue, no matter the cost. Younger men glance at him with quiet sympathy. They see in him a reflection of their own future, should they remain in the pit. Some speak of leaving, seeking work elsewhere. But options are few, and mouths must be fed. The mine offers steady wages, and with them, a measure of survival. During the brief meal break, the miners sit in a circle, sharing cold bread and cheese. Talk turns to a man from another village, recently buried. Black lung claimed him, as it had so many. The news is met with sullen nods, the unspoken knowledge that any one of them might be next. Above ground, the doctor's visits grow more frequent. The miner's wife listens carefully to his advice, though little can be done. Rest, clean air, perhaps a tonic. Yet the dust is already deep within, its grip tightening with each passing week. The miner's strength fades. Tasks that once came easily now leave him breathless. At home, the children watch their father with growing unease. His cough is ever present, a harsh sound in the quiet evenings. He smiles for them, hiding the worst of his pain, but the effort leaves him drained. Nights bring low rest, sleep broken by fits of choking breath. In the village, the older widows speak of the pattern. Their husbands, once strong, now laid low by the dust. The cycle repeats, each generation marked by the same fate. Reformers' words echo faintly in the distance, promises of change yet to reach these narrow streets. Yet hope lingers, fragile but present. Among the miners, talk stirs of new machines, better ventilation. Perhaps in time the dangers will lessen. For now, though, they endure. Each day begins with the same resolve to labor for family, despite the toll. As the miner prepares once more for his shift, his gaze lingers on his children. A quiet wish stirs within him that they might escape the pit, find a life above ground. The hope sustains him even as his breath grows short. Now, as we move forward, let us meet the other silent laborers of the mine. The creatures whose strength and patience supported the work of men. In the next chapter, we will follow the pit ponies, those forgotten workers underground. Chapter 4. Pit ponies, the forgotten workers underground in the depths of the mine. Beneath layers of rock and earth, the sound of hooves echoes softly along the tunnels. Small, sturdy ponies move carefully through the gloom, their flanks gleaming faintly in the lamplight. They pull heavy wagons laden with coal, their breath misting in the cool, damp air. These are the pit ponies, silent companions to the miners and essential to the work of the colliery. The ponies are specially chosen for their size and temperament. Too large, and they cannot navigate the narrow seams. Too timid, and they will not endure the dark confines of the pit. The best are hardy and calm, able to work long hours in difficult conditions. Many come from farms in the surrounding countryside, their lives above ground exchanged for the endless cycle of the mine. Once brought to the colliery, a pony begins a new life. Lowered carefully down the shaft in a sling or harness, the descent is often their first encounter with true darkness. Some panic, others adapt with remarkable calm. The stable hands, often miners themselves, work patiently to ease the pony's fears. Bonds of trust form between man and beast, forged in the shared labor of the pit. Underground, the ponies are housed in rough stables carved into the rock. Their world is a place of perpetual twilight, the days and nights of the surface forgotten. Though lamps and candles provide some light, shadows linger in every corner. The air is cool, thick with the scent of coal and sweat. Water is brought down for them, feed carefully rationed. Their diet is simple: hay, oats, and the occasional treat from a kind hand. Each day, the ponies are harnessed to the coal wagons. With steady patience, they haul load after load along the iron rails, navigating turns and slope with practiced ease. Their strength is remarkable, their endurance greater still. Yet the work is not without hardship. Collapses, gas pockets, and runaway carts pose constant dangers. The ponies learn to sense trouble. Ears flicking at distant sounds, nostrils flaring in warning. The miners hold deep respect for these animals. Many form close attachments, speaking softly to them, offering scraps of food when they can. In the harsh world of pit, such companionship brings comfort. The ponies, in turn, respond to familiar voices and gentle touches, their trust hard-won. Injuries, though common, are met with care. A lame pony is tended to by the stable hands, wounds cleaned and bandaged, yet not all recover. Some are lost to accidents, mourned by those who knew them. The mine moves on, but the memory of each faithful worker lingers in the minds of the men. For some ponies, the pit becomes a lifelong home. They grow old beneath the earth, their coats graying in the dim light. Others are fortunate, return to the surface when work allows. The first sight of sunlight after years below is said to be a moment of wonder. Eyes blinking against the brightness, nostrils flaring at the scent of open air. Efforts to improve the lives of pit ponies grow slowly. Animal welfare groups speak out, calling for better treatments and reduced hours underground. Some owners respond, installing better stables, ensuring regular feed and rest. But in many collieries, little changes. The demands of production take priority. For the miners, the ponies remain valued partners. They lighten the burden of labor, their presence a steadying force in the uncertainty of the tunnels. Each day, as the rhythm of the mine unfolds, man and beast work side by side, their efforts intertwined. As our journey through the depths continues, let us remain in this dim world for a little while longer. In the next segment, we will follow these faithful workers through the routines of their days and nights, and glimpse the rare moments when the darkness gives way to light. In the dim early hours of the shift, the stable hands rise first. Before the miners descend, they prepare the ponies for the day. Lamps are lit, the faint glow revealing the small stable carved from stone. Water buckets are filled, feed measured out with care. Each pony is groomed, their coats brushed to loosen the coal dust that clings to every hair. The sound of soft nickering fills the space, a moment of calm before the labor ahead. Harnesses are checked for wear, straps adjusted for comfort. The ponies know the routine well. They stand patiently, accustomed to the ritual. Some nudge the stable hands gently, seeking a familiar touch or an extra handful of oats. The bond between man and pony runs deep, built on years of shared experience. When the call comes, the ponies step forward willingly. Led through narrow passages, their hooves echo softly on stone. In the main tunnels, iron rails gleam faintly beneath layers of dust. The ponies are hitched to empty wagons, the work of the day begun. With slow, steady steps, they move through the darkness. The weight of the loaded wagons tests their strength, yet they press on without complaint. At bends and junctions, they respond to quiet commands, ears flicking, heads turning. The ponies know every twist and slope of the tunnels, their instincts guiding them safely through the maze. The air grows heavier as the day wears on. Sweat darkens their flanks, breath quickens. The miners watch over them, offering words of encouragement, brief moments of rest. When danger threatens, the ponies sense it first. A sudden shift in the timbers, a distant rumble. They stop, ears pricked, bodies tense. Their warning saved lives more than once. Meals come in brief intervals. The ponies return to the stables to eat, muscles quivering with effort. The stable hands rub them down, checking for signs of strain or injury. Time above ground is rare. Weeks, even months may pass before a pony sees the sun. In some collieries, conditions are worse. The ponies confined below for years. When finally brought to the surface, the change is profound. The brightness overwhelms at first, eyes blinking against the unfamiliar light. The ponies breathe deeply, nostrils flaring at scents long forgotten. Grass beneath their hooves, wind against their coats, the sensations bring visible joy, yet the return is often brief. Soon they must descend again, back to the familiar dark. Efforts to improve their welfare continue to grow. Inspectors visit, though not often enough. Animal welfare societies press for better treatment, their voices rising in the cities. Gradually awareness spreads. In some minds, changes come. Better stabling, regular time above ground, improved feed. But progress is slow, uneven across the coal fields. For the miners, the ponies remain more than beasts of burden. They are trusted partners, their loyalty a comfort in the harsh world below. Stories of brave ponies, of rescues and escapes are shared with quiet pride. In a life shaped by struggle, these bonds matter deeply. As the shift ends, the ponies return to their stables. The harnesses are removed, sweat wiped away. They stand quietly as the stable hands tend to them, eyes half closed in the dim light. Another day complete. Tomorrow the rhythm will begin anew. Now, let us turn our gaze to one of the most dramatic moments in mining life. In the next chapter, we will witness a story of courage and endurance in the face of disaster. The rescue at Hartley Colliery awaits us. Chapter 5. The Rescue at Hartley Colliery. The year is 1862. In the village of New Hartley, Northumberland, the colliery dominates life. Its tall chimney looms above rows of stone cottages. The pit provides work for hundreds of men and boys. It powers the hearths of the village and fuels distant factories. Yet beneath its surface, the dangers of the mine are ever present. It is early January. A cold wind sweeps the lanes, rattling window panes. The miners gather at dawn, boots crunching on frost-hardened earth. Among them are fathers and sons, brothers and neighbors. The rhythm of life is steady, shaped by the demands of the colliery. Few suspect that today will bring tragedy. The pit at Hartley is unusual. It relies on a single shaft for both ventilation and access. Safety experts have voiced concerns, but little has changed. The cost of adding a second shaft is deemed too great. The owners press on, production undisturbed. On the morning of January 16th, disaster strikes. Deep within the shaft, the giant beam of the pumping engine fractures. Heavy timbers, ironwork, and tons of debris crash down into the only passage in or out of the mine. The shaft is sealed. Below ground, over 200 men and boys are trapped. Word spreads quickly through the village. Wives and mothers gather at the pit head, their faces drawn with fear. The air is thick with dread. The miners above know the dangers. Without ventilation, gas may build. Without access, no rescue can reach those below. Rescue teams are assembled swiftly. Engineers, miners, volunteers from nearby collieries. They work with desperate urgency, clearing debris from the shaft. The work is perilous. Each movement risks collapse. Tools clatter. Voices call out in the cold morning light. The rhythm of picks and shovels echoes through the pit yard. Below ground, the trapped miners wait. They gather in groups, lamps flickering weakly. The air grows stale. Some attempt to dig side passages, seeking escape. Others pray softly, their voices muffled by the earth. Fathers comfort sons, shielding them from fear. Among them, a quiet resolve forms. They will endure as long as they can. The rescuers above press on, hour after hour. The work is slow, the shaft choked with wreckage. Night falls, lamps casting long shadows on weary faces. The village remains gathered, voices hushed. Hope flickers, fragile as the light of the lamps. By the second day, progress is measured in feet. Messages are shouted down narrow boreholes. Faint replies drift upward. There is life below. The rescuers redouble their efforts. Timbers braced, debris cleared. Yet the danger is constant. Poisonous gases seep upward, the air thick with dust. On the third day, the work continues. The rescuers' faces are drawn with exhaustion. Food and water are passed among them, hands grimy and trembling. The shaft remains treacherous. One wrong move could bring further collapse. Yet they press on, driven by duty and the hope of saving friends and kin. The lull, the miners' strength wanes. The air is thin, their breathing labored. Children cling to their fathers, eyes wide with fear. Yet among the men there is calm. They speak in low voices, sharing what little food remains. In the darkness, they hold fast to hope. Above, prayers are whispered. The church bells toll softly in the wind. The whole village waits, bound together by worry and love. As dawn breaks on the fourth day, the rescuers break through a section of debris. They shout down the shaft. No answer. The silence is heavy. Let us pause here. In the next segment, we will remain with the rescuers, following their grim task to its end, and witness the village's heartbreak and quiet courage in the face of loss. The morning of the fourth day dawns gray and cold. At the pit head, the rescuers resume their grim task. Their faces are lined with exhaustion, arms heavy from endless labor. Each stroke of pick and shovel echoes with urgency. They know that time is running short. The shaft remains dangerous. Fresh timbers are braced, the air thick with dust and the faint scent of gas. Below ground, the trapped miners grow weaker. The air is stale, each breath a struggle. Voices are faint now, conversation fading into murmurs. Some drift into uneasy sleep, others cling to consciousness. The youngest rest in their father's arms, their small bodies wrapped in miners' jackets against the cold. On the surface, the village waits. Women hold vigil at the pit head, shawls wrapped tightly against the biting wind. Some sing softly, voices trembling. Others stand in silence, eyes fixed on the black mouth of the shaft. The whole community is bound in shared dread, the hours stretching unbearably long. Late in the day, a breakthrough comes. The rescuers clear a narrow passage through the wreckage. A volunteer is lowered on a rope, lamp in hand. He descends carefully, heart pounding. The silence below is deep, the air heavy with sorrow. In the flickering light, he finds the first group of trapped miners. They lie still, faces peaceful in the dim glow. The gas has claimed them quietly. Word rises swiftly. There are no survivors. A great wave of grief sweeps the pit yard. Wives collapse into the arms of neighbors. Fathers weep openly. The rescuers, grim-faced, continue their work. The dead must be brought home, no matter the cost. Through the long hours of night and into the fifth day, the recovery continues. Each body is raised with care, faces washed, names spoken softly. The toll grows with each ascent. By the time the shaft is cleared, 204 lives have been lost. In the churchyard, black drapes hang from the iron gates. Bells toll slowly, a solemn rhythm that echoes across the valley. The funerals stretch for days, lines of mourners winding through the narrow lanes. The air is thick with grief, yet touched by resilience. The village will endure, though it is forever changed. News of the disaster spread quickly. Across the country, newspapers carry the story. In London, the tragedy stirs outrage. Calls for reform grow louder. A new law is soon passed, mandating that all future mines must have at least 2 shafts to prevent such a catastrophe from happening again. Yet for the families of New Hartley, the loss is immeasurable. Homes stand empty, chairs at the table unfilled. The memory of that dark January lingers in every street, in every whispered prayer. The miners who survive return to their work in other pits, carrying the weight of loss in their hearts. As we leave this sorrowful chapter behind, let us turn our gaze once more to the constant dangers that lurk below. In the next chapter, we will explore the invisible threat of gas explosions, the sudden death in the darkness. Chapter 6: Gas Explosions. Death in the darkness deep beneath the surface. In the narrow tunnels of the mine, an unseen danger waits. It drifts silently through the air, pooling in low pockets, invisible to the eye. The miners call it fire damp, a mixture of methane and other gases released from the coal seam itself. In small amounts, it causes no harm. But when it accumulates in greater volumes, a single spark can ignite it with devastating force. The men know this risk well. Each shift begins with caution. Before the day's labor starts, a fireman moves through the workings, testing the air with a small flame shielded by wire gauze. He watches closely for the telltale flicker of blue in the flame, a warning of fire damp present. If the gas is detected, the area is ventilated or closed, but the measures are imperfect. Ventilation is often poor. In older pits, the wooden doors and canvas sheets meant to guide airflow are worn and unreliable. Miners speak of fire damp with a mix of respect and fear. They know it is part of their world as much as the dust and the rock. Some days it lies quiet, on others it stirs. A sudden shift in the earth, a fresh pocket released, and the atmosphere can change in an instant. The Davy lamp, invented only a few decades earlier, offers some protection. Its fine mesh prevents the lamp's flame from igniting surrounding gas. But the lamps are fragile, prone to damage from careless handling or accidental drops. Many miners still prefer naked flames for better light, despite the risks. For a man working long hours in the dark, the temptation of a brighter flame often outweighs caution. Stories circulate through the mining villages. Tales of explosions that ripped through tunnels, of comrades lost in an instant. The older miners recount such events in quiet tones, their words carrying both warning and sorrow. An explosion begins with a spark. It might come from a lamp, a metal tool striking stone, or even the static of shifting coal. In a second, the gas ignites. A wall of flame rushes down the tunnel, faster than any man can flee. The sound is deafening, a great roar that shakes the earth. The air fills with choking smoke and burning debris. In the aftermath, silence falls, broken only by the groans of the wounded. For the families above, the first sign is the muffled thunder rising from the shaft. A great column of dust may burst from the pit head, blackening the sky. Within minutes, word spreads through the village. Women and children run to the colliery yard, eyes wide with fear. The pit is alive with activity. Rescue parties form, doctors summoned, stretchers prepared. Yet entering the mine after an explosion is perilous. Afterdamp, a deadly mix of gases left behind by the fire, can kill silently. Many rescuers have lost their lives attempting to save others. Still, they go, driven by duty and the bonds of brotherhood. Inside the tunnels, the scene is grim. Walls scorched black, timbers fallen, bodies strewn amid the wreckage. Survivors stagger through the smoke, faces gray with soot, clothes burned and torn. They are led to the surface, where the waiting crowd parts in silence. Tears mix with soot as loved ones are carried away. Each explosion leaves its mark, both on the landscape and the hearts of those who remain. The pit may close for weeks, repairs made, investigations launched, yet often little changes. The owners speak of unfortunate accidents, of lessons learned, but production soon resumes. The miners return, knowing the risk remains. As our story continues, let us remain for a time in this shadowed world. In the next segment, we will follow the miners through the aftermath of an explosion. and glimpse how life in the village moves forward in the face of such sudden loss. Chapter 7: The Mining Family's Daily Struggles, Segment 1, in the small stone cottages clustered near the colliery. Life for a miner's family is one of constant labor and careful management. The home is modest, often no more than 2 rooms shared by parents and children alike. Walls bear the marks of coal dust, no matter how often they are scrubbed. The air carries a faint scent of soot mingled with the aroma of simple meals. The day begins early, often before dawn. The miner rises first, preparing for the long shift ahead. His wife is already awake, tending to the fire, boiling water for tea, setting out a small breakfast of bread and dripping or porridge. There's little time for words. The needs of the day press in. Once her husband departs, the miner's wife turns to her own labors. The hearth must be cleaned, clothes washed by hand in a tin basin, floors swept of the ever-present coal dust. Young children are dressed and fed, older ones sent to school or, if old enough, to the pit. Every task requires effort. There is no modern convenience, no ease in daily routines. Water must be fetched from a communal pump or well, carried in heavy buckets back to the house. The task is repeated throughout the day for cooking, washing, and drinking. Coal for the hearth is gathered carefully, each lump rationed to last through cold days and long nights. Waste is carried out to the midden, the streets often thick with mud after rain. Meals are simple and frugal. Bread, potatoes, cabbage, perhaps a bit of bacon if wages allow. Thick broth fills the pot most days, its contents stretched to feed the whole family. On paydays, there may be a rare treat, a pie, a slice of cake, yet such moments are fleeting. The balance of income and need is always delicate. Children grow up quickly in this world. From a young age, they learn to help with chores, scrubbing floors, minding younger siblings, running errands for their mother. For many, schooling is brief. The needs of the household and the lure of pit wages draw them into work early. Sons follow their fathers into the mine. Daughters take in sewing or service when old enough. Illness is a constant threat. Coughs linger through the winter months. Rashes, infections, and minor injuries are common, treated with simple remedies or the advice of a neighbor. Doctors are rarely called, their fees beyond the means of most families. The church offers some charity, but resources are thin. Despite the hardships, moments of joy persist. Songs are sung around the hearth, stories shared in the flickering light. On Sundays, families gather in their best clothes for chapel services. The community offers strength, neighbors supporting one another in times of need. Friendships run deep, forged by shared experience and the bonds of hardship. For the miner's wife, the burdens are many. She must stretch every coin, manage the household, care for children, and endure the constant worry for her husband's safety. Each day he descends into the pit. There is no certainty he will return unharmed. The sound of the shift whistle brings both relief and renewed tension, marking the rhythm of her life. In the evenings, the family gathers once more. The miner returns, weary and blackened, to the comfort of his home. Clothes are scrubbed, bodies washed as best as the basin allows. A meal is shared, conversation quiet, punctuated by the miner's cough or the laughter of a child. Sleep comes early, for dawn will bring the same routine again. As we continue, let us remain with the families a little longer. In the next segment, we will follow their small triumphs and enduring strength, and glimpse how the rhythm of community life offers moments of light amid the darkness. As the week unfolds, the miner's family moves steadily through its routines. Wash is done on Mondays, the yard filled with lines of clothes, each item scrubbed and wrung by hand. The women of the row chat softly as they work, exchanging news, sharing small victories and worries alike. The air carries the mingled scents of soap, damp cloth, and coal smoke drifting from chimneys. Market day brings a brief change of pace. The miner's wife sets off early, basket on her arm, walking the muddy lanes to the nearest town. Every purchase must be weighed carefully. A few coins are all she carries, and prices can shift with the season or the whim of the seller. In the market stalls, bright vegetables, fresh baked bread, and cured meats tempt the eye, though most remain beyond reach. She selects what is needed, perhaps allowing for one small indulgence, a bit of sugar or a sprig of mint to brighten the household's meager fare. Children, when not in school or working, find their own amusements. Games played in the narrow lanes, marbles, skipping ropes, or running races down the slope of the Collierwood. Laughter echoes, though always with an undertone of caution. They know the dangers of the pit, the risks of wagons and carts moving swiftly through the yard. Accidents can happen in an instant. On Sundays, the pace slows. The miner bathes carefully in the tin tub, water heated on the hearth. Clean clothes are laid out, boots polished. The family walks to chapel, joining neighbors in solemn rows. The hymns rise softly, voices blending in familiar melodies. Here, amid the polished wood and candlelight, the worries of the week ease for a time. Community ties run strong in these villages. Neighbors help one another in sickness and hardship. A loaf of bread left quietly at a doorstep. A child watched while a mother tends to urgent tasks. In times of grief, the whole village gathers, offering comfort, practical support, and quiet companionship. The bonds of such a life are forged in necessity, yet they endure beyond it. Evenings offer small moments of respite. After the meal, the family sits by the hearth. The miner's wife mends clothes, needle moving steadily through worn fabric. The children listen as their father recounts tales from the pit. Stories of close calls, of bravery and humor in the face of hardship. The flickering light softens the room, the rhythms of speech and shared presence bringing a fragile sense of peace. Yet beneath it all runs a current of uncertainty. A sudden accident, a lost shift, a run of poor health could tip the balance. Wages are meager, rent and food constant demands. Debts linger, owed to the company store or the landlord. Each day's work is a step on a narrow path, with little room for misfortune. Through it all, the miner's wife remains the heart of the household. Her resilience and care sustain the family, her quiet strength holding them together. In every task, from the largest to the smallest, her presence shapes the rhythm of their lives. As we leave the quiet world of the home, let us now turn once more to the darkness below. In the next chapter, we will explore the strange beliefs and eerie tales that grow in the depths of the pit. The ghost lights and mining superstitions await us. Chapter 8: Ghost Lights and Mining Superstitions in the Deep Workings of the Mine. Where sunlight never reaches and shadows crowd every corner, stories take on a life of their own. Among the miners, tales of strange lights and ghostly presences are whispered during moments of rest. In a world shaped by danger and uncertainty, belief in the supernatural weaves its way through daily life. They speak first of the ghost lights, faint, flickering glows that drift through the tunnels, moving without apparent cause. Some say they are nothing more than reflections of lamps on damp walls, tricks of the eye born of exhaustion. Others are not so sure. The lights are said to appear before accidents, lingering in the air as an omen. A miner might pause, seeing the faint shimmer ahead, heart quickening with unease. Older men share stories passed down through generations, of comrades who saw the lights, ignored their warnings, and met their fate soon after. Of shifts abandoned when the glow grew strong, only for a collapse to follow hours later. Whether by truth or coincidence, Such tales find fertile ground in the minds of those who labor beneath the earth. There are other beliefs as well. The knocking of the Tommyknockers, unseen spirits thought to dwell in the rock. Their faint rapping sounds, heard through the stone, are taken as warnings. Some claim the knockers are the spirits of lost miners, their presence a sign of approaching danger. When the sounds echo faintly through the seam, men fall silent, listening intently. Work may pause, tools laid down in respect or caution. To anger these spirits is to court misfortune. Miners take care to avoid whistling underground, believed to disturb the ghosts. They leave small offerings in certain corners of the workings, bits of bread or drops of ale, gestures of appeasement to unseen watchers. Superstitions extend beyond the tunnels. Certain days are thought unlucky for beginning a new seam. The first cut of a fresh face may be delayed. The overseer is not quick to challenge the miner's instincts. A bird flying into the pithead building is taken as a dire sign, its meaning understood without words. Personal rituals abound. A miner might wear the same scarf each day, carry a particular token in his pocket. These small acts offer a fragile sense of control in an environment where much lies beyond human power. The mine is vast and shifting, the earth itself alive with unseen forces. Newcomers to the trade often scoff at such tales. Yet with time, even the most skeptical come to heed them. In the long hours of darkness, when the lamp's glow seems small and the walls close in, the mind is quick to grasp at signs and omens. A flicker of light, a sudden draft, a faint sound in the distance. Each carries weight, shaping the choices of those who move through the tunnels. The owners of the mines dismiss such beliefs. Their focus remains on output, on tons of coal brought to the surface. But among the miners, the stories persist, shared in quiet moments, passed from old to young. They form a thread of connection, linking past and present, reminding all who hear them that the mine holds mysteries no man can fully tame. Let us remain for a time in this world of shadow and belief. In the next segment, we will hear more of these tales and see how the miners' superstitions help them endure the uncertainties of life below ground. In the long dark of the tunnels, the miners find that belief serves a purpose. It brings comfort, a sense of meaning amid dangers too great to face alone. The stories passed from mouth to mouth help shape their world, offering warnings, explanations, or simply a shared language for the unknown. On breaks between shifts, seated near the pit head or by the low glow of a lamp underground, the tales continue. An older miner might speak softly of a certain stretch of tunnel where the air feels colder, the silence deeper. No matter how often it is worked, accidents seem to follow there. Some seams, despite their rich veins of coal, are abandoned for this reason, left as silent spaces within the mine, avoided by those who know their history. The tale of the headless miner is often shared among the younger lads. It tells of a man lost to a sudden roof fall, his body never fully recovered. His spirit, they say, wanders the tunnel still, a faint shape glimpsed at the edge of sight. Those who encounter him speak of a sudden chill, the flame of the lamp dimming for no clear reason. The story is told half in jest, yet no one lingers alone in that part of the mine. Another belief holds that a miner dreaming of a collapse or explosion must heed the warning. Dreams, it is said, sometimes carry truths missed by waking senses. Men have been known to refuse a shift after such a vision, and their caution is rarely mocked. The rhythms of the mind teach respect for such things. However small they may seem, some superstitions are practical in their way. To whistle underground invites collapse, many believe, for the spirits do not care for such cheer. A miner must knock 3 times on the timber props before passing beneath them, a quiet request for safe passage. These habits, repeated daily, offer small acts of control, a way to steady nerves in a place where control is often lacking. The wives of the miners, too, share in these beliefs. They listen carefully to their husbands' accounts, noting changes in tone or unusual incidents. A sudden silence from the birds kept at home is watched with wary eyes. A cracked cup in the morning and unexpected draft through the window may be taken as signs. In a life so closely bound to the fortunes of the pit, every small omen matters. Children grow up with these stories, learning the patterns of respect and caution from an early age. Before they first descend into the mine, they are taught to greet the tunnels with care, to listen well, and to heed the lessons of those who came before. Such teachings are a form of protection, as vital in their way as a tool or a lamp. Though modern science would explain much with gases, air currents, and the mind's own tricks, for the miners of the 19th century, the world beneath the ground is alive with mystery. And perhaps that is fitting. In a place where each shift might be the last, where unseen dangers wait beyond every turn, belief serves as shield and guide, shaping a rhythm of life that helps men endure. As we rise now from this realm of shadows and tailies, let us turn to the struggles that unfold in the brighter light of day. In the next chapter, we will explore the fierce conflicts between miners and owners, the rise of unions and the bitter fights of the strike breakers. As the strike lingers on, life in the village becomes a test of endurance. The cupboards grow bare, coal supplies dwindle, yet few waver. The miners' resolve is strengthened by the knowledge that they fight not just for themselves, but for their children and for the generations to come. The presence of blacklegs fuels anger. Their footsteps are watched closely. In the lanes, words are exchanged, tempers flare. Fistfights are not uncommon. The very sight of a stranger walking toward the pit stirs tension. Yet beneath the surface there is sorrow as well. Many of these outsiders come from desperate circumstances, drawn by the need to feed their own families. It is a cruel twist, the poor set against the poor by those in power. Company officials act with calculated harshness. Notices appear on doorways, giving families a few days to vacate their homes. The cottages owned by the mine offer no security when wages stop. Evictions are carried out with little ceremony, possessions left in the street, families forced to seek shelter where they can. In response, the community rallies. Neighbors take in the displaced, tents are pitched on the village green, churches open their doors. A spirit of mutual aid flourishes, though the strain grows heavier with each passing week. Disease finds easy footing in the crowded, cold quarters. Coughs deepen, fevers spread. Yet the will to resist holds firm. In quieter moments, the miners speak of the future they hope to build. A life with fair pay, safer conditions, respect for their labor. They know the road is long, the struggle far from over. But each strike, each act of defiance, adds to the growing strength of their cause. As public attention turns to their plight, the miners find unexpected allies. Writers and reformers speak out on their behalf. Donations of food and clothing arrive from distant cities. The balance begins to shift, however, slightly. The owners, wary of bad press and mounting costs, sometimes agree to negotiations. When a strike ends, whether through victory or necessity, life does not return to normal overnight. The wounds of the conflict linger. Friendships strained, homes lost, debts incurred. Yet beneath the fatigue, there is also a quiet pride. The miners have stood together. Their cause is known. The path forward, though difficult, is a little clearer. The fight for fair treatment in the pits continues year after year. New leaders rise, laws slowly change. The union's voice grows stronger, shaping the future of the mining communities. Now, as we step away from the noise of protest and the weight of struggle, let us enter the daily life shaped by these tensions. In the next chapter, we will explore what it means to live in a company town, where debt and despair often shadow every aspect of existence. Chapter 9: Strike breakers and union fights in the villages clustered around the coal fields. Life is marked not only by the rhythm of the pit, but also by the struggles between those who dig the coal and those who profit from it. Tensions simmer beneath the surface, a quiet resistance that from time to time bursts into open conflict. The miners know well the dangers of their work and the meagerness of their pay. Wages are set by the owners, who weigh their decisions not on fairness but on market demand and profit. There is no guarantee of steady income. When orders fall, wages are cut. When new machinery reduces the need for labor, men are cast out with little warning. Such uncertainties breed resentment. In the tap rooms and chapels, in quiet conversations along the lanes, the miners speak of change. They dream of unity, of standing together to demand fair treatment. Slowly, the idea of forming unions takes root. Leaders emerge, men of principle and courage, willing to risk the wrath of the owners. The early unions are fragile things, illegal in many eyes, and met with fierce opposition. Organizers face dismissal, blacklisting, even violence. Yet the need for collective strength is great, and membership grows. Meetings are held in secret, by candlelight in barns or back rooms, voices low but determined. When talks with owners fail, when cuts are imposed or conditions worsen, the men take the only step left to them. They strike. A strike is a desperate act. It means hunger, cold, and hardship for every family in the village. Wages stop, credit dries up, but it also means solidarity. The community comes together, food is shared, support offered. There is pride in standing firm, in refusing to yield to unjust demands. The owners, for their part, act swiftly to break the strike. Notices go up, eviction orders are issued. Families are forced from company-owned homes, their few belongings piled on the road. Strike breakers, known as blacklegs, are brought in from distant towns, lured by promises of pay. These men arrive under guard, often in the dead of night. The villagers watch them with bitter eyes. To work during a strike is to betray the cause. Tensions run high. Fights break out in the streets. Stones are thrown, insults shouted. The presence of blacklegs deepens the rift between miner and owner. Yet even in the face of such challenges, the unions grow stronger. Each struggle teaches new lessons. Public sympathy begins to shift. Newspapers report on the evictions, the suffering of the miners' families. Politicians take notice. Voices in parliament speak in their defense. In the homes of the miners, determination hardens. Wives support the cause, despite the hardship it brings. They organize soup kitchens, care for the children of those arrested, tend to the wounded when clashes turn violent. Their role is vital, their courage often unsung. Through long weeks and bitter winters, the strikes continue. Some end in defeat, the men forced back to work with little gained. Others bring small victories, a slight raise, a grudging improvement in safety. The struggle is slow, progress measured in inches, but the will to fight remains. As the years pass, unions gain recognition, their rights slowly enshrined in law. Yet the battles never truly end. Owners find new ways to resist, new pressures to apply. The fight for dignity and fairness in the pits is a long one, its victories hard won. Now, as we leave the picket lines behind, let us turn our attention to another force shaping the lives of the miners. In the next segment, we will look closely at the company towns, where debt and despair often go hand in hand with daily life. As the strike lingers on, life in the village becomes a test of endurance. The cupboards grow bare, coal supplies dwindle, yet few waver. The miners' resolve is strengthened by the knowledge that they fight not just for themselves, but for their children and for the generations to come. The presence of blacklegs fuels anger. Their footsteps are watched closely. In the lanes, words are exchanged, tempers flare. Fistfights are not uncommon. The very sight of a stranger walking toward the pit stirs tension. Yet beneath the surface there is sorrow as well. Many of these outsiders come from desperate circumstances, drawn by the need to feed their own families. It is a cruel twist, the poor set against the poor by those in power. Company officials act with calculated harshness. Notices appear on doorways, giving families a few days to vacate their homes. The cottages owned by the mine offer no security when wages stop. Evictions are carried out with little ceremony, possessions left in the street, families forced to seek shelter where they can. In response, the community rallies. Neighbors take in the displaced, tents are pitched on the village green, churches open their doors. A spirit of mutual aid flourishes, though the strain grows heavier with each passing week. Disease finds easy footing in the crowded, cold quarters. Coughs deepen, fevers spread. Yet the will to resist holds firm. In quieter moments, the miners speak of the future they hope to build. A life with fair pay, safer conditions, respect for their labor. They know the road is long, the struggle far from over. But each strike, each act of defiance, adds to the growing strength of their cause. As public attention turns to their plight, the miners find unexpected allies. Writers and reformers speak out on their behalf. Donations of food and clothing arrive from distant cities. The balance begins to shift, however slightly. The owners, wary of bad press and mounting costs, sometimes agree to negotiations. When a strike ends, whether through victory or necessity, life does not return to normal overnight. The wounds of the conflict linger. Friendships strained, homes lost, debts incurred. Yet beneath the fatigue, there is also a quiet pride. The miners have stood together. Their cause is known. The path forward, though difficult, is a little clearer. The fight for fair treatment in the pits continues year after year. New leaders rise, laws slowly change. The union's voice grows stronger, shaping the future of the mining communities. Now, as we step away from the noise of protest and the weight of struggle, let us enter the daily life shaped by these tensions. In the next chapter, we will explore what it means to live in a company town, where debt and despair often shadow every aspect of existence.
Chapter 10. Living in a company town. Debt and despair. In the heart of coal country, the company town is both shelter and snare. Built by the mine owners, these clusters of cottages, shops, and halls provide the framework for life. To the casual eye, they may seem orderly, even thriving, but beneath the surface lies a web of control that binds the miners and their families to the pit in ways deeper than mere employment. Every stone cottage in the row is owned by the company. The miner pays rent each week, the amount deducted directly from his wages before he ever holds the coin in hand. The same is true for the coal he burns in his hearth, the tools he uses, and often the lamp he carries into the tunnels. Each cost is accounted for on the company's books. The balance carefully maintained in the company's favor. At the heart of the town stands the company store. It is here that families buy their food, clothing, and household goods. Prices are set by the owners, often higher than in nearby markets. Credit is extended freely, but it is a double-edged sword. Many miners fall into debt, their weekly pay swallowed by past bills before new purchases are even considered. The tokens used in some towns, pieces of brass or paper issued by the company, further tighten the grip. These tokens can be spent only at the company store, ensuring that money circulates within the owner's hands. A miner might work long hours, risking life and health, only to find at week's end that he owes more than he has earned. The strain on families is constant. The wife of a miner must stretch every ration, making meals from scant supplies, clothing children in patched garments, always calculating how to balance the ledger. Small luxuries, a bit of tea, a sweet for a child, become rare treasures. The weight of debt settles over the household, a silent presence that shapes every decision. The owners defend the system as one of convenience and order. Without the store and the housing, they argue, the miners would struggle to find shelter or supplies in the remote valleys. But the miners know the truth. The company town exists to bind them, to make leaving the pit almost impossible. A man in debt cannot easily walk away. A family without housing must think twice before defying an owner's demands. Among the miners, quiet resentment grows. They speak of the unfairness in hushed tones, knowing that open complaint risks dismissal. Union organizers work carefully, building trust, offering visions of a different life, one where wages are fair, housing secure, and choices free from fear. Yet the reality of the company town is slow to change. It holds the families tightly, generation after generation. Sons grow up in the same rows, marry daughters from neighboring cottages, and take their place in the pit. The debt continues, a thread woven through the fabric of their lives. Still, there is resilience. The wives form close bonds, sharing food and helping one another through lean times. The chapel offers solace, its hymns rising in the evening light. The miners find pride in their skill, their brotherhood, and in small acts of defiance. A coin saved secretly, a meal stretched to feed one more. They assert their dignity. As we remain in this world of quiet struggle, let us next explore more deeply the toll this system takes on families and hopes. In the next segment, we will see how life in the company town weighs upon the spirit, and what small joys persist amid the hardship.
The days in a company town pass with a steady, familiar rhythm. Morning begins with the slow rising of smoke from chimneys, the sound of boots on packed earth as miners make their way to the pit head. In their wake, the wives begin their own work. Tubs are filled, washboards readied, bread set to rise in the warmth of the hearth. The children, when not at school or work, fill the narrow lanes with play. Their games are simple, fashioned from scraps and imagination. Laughter still finds a place here, even beneath the shadow of debt. Yet the children are aware, in ways both spoken and unspoken, of the weight their parents carry. The lean months leave their mark. Paydays are days of both relief and reckoning. At the company office, men collect their wages, the amounts carefully recorded in ledgers. For many, the figures are already reduced. Rent, coal, store accounts deducted. The coins remaining must stretch to feed the family, settle debts, and meet any small needs that arise. Wives often wait outside the office, eyes scanning their husbands' faces as they emerge. A short nod, a weary smile tells much. The careful counting of coins at the kitchen table that night will reveal more. The balance is rarely favorable. A small surplus is cause for quiet celebration. A shortfall means yet another week of worry. Trips to the company store are undertaken with care. Lists are drawn up, every item debated. Prices are known by heart. The storekeepers, agents of the owner, watch closely, recording each purchase in the account books. The tally grows with each visit, the weight of debt pulling tighter around the family. Despite this, life continues. The chapel offers moments of respite. On Sundays, the miners and their families gather in clean clothes, hymns filling the simple space with hope. Weddings, christenings, and funerals mark the passing of time, binding the community together. The bonds forged here are deep, shaped by shared hardship and mutual aid. Yet the pressure of debt wears on the spirit. For some, it breeds quiet despair. The knowledge that no matter how hard one works, the scales are tipped. Freedom always just beyond reach. Talk of leaving the pit arises, of seeking better fortunes elsewhere. But the means to do so are scarce. Moving requires money, security, and often the blessing of the company. For most, the thought remains a distant dream. Among the women, quiet strength prevails. They barter when they can mend endlessly and find ways to make do. Friendships among neighbors provide solace, an ear to listen, a hand to help. In the face of adversity, these small acts sustain hope. In the minds of the children, seeds of change begin to take root. They hear their parents' stories, witness their struggles. In time, some will seek different paths, fueled by the quiet determination to escape the cycle. As we leave this chapter of daily endurance, let us turn to a different scene. In the next chapter, we will step briefly into the world of the owners to witness a contrasting moment, tea with the mine owner's wife. Chapter 11, tea with the mine owner's wife beyond the smoke-stained cottages and the shadow of the pit head. On a slight rise overlooking the village stands the mine owner's house. A grand structure of brick and stone, its tall windows gleaming, its gardens neatly kept despite the dust that drifts from the colliery. It is a different world, one of light and comfort, separated in both distance and circumstance from the lives of the miners below. Inside, the rooms are spacious and well-appointed. Fine carpets soften the floors, heavy curtains frame each window. Polished wood gleams beneath the touch. Silver and porcelain adorn sideboards and tables. The air is perfumed with the scent of fresh flowers, a marked contrast to the ever-present coal smoke of the village. At the center of this world moves the mine owner's wife, clad in the fashions of the day, a full skirt, lace-trimmed blouse, hair carefully arranged. She presides over her household with grace and assurance. Her days are filled with a steady rhythm of duties, managing servants, overseeing household accounts, planning social engagements. Among her regular activities is the hosting of afternoon tea. On select days, ladies from neighboring estates and well-to-do parts of town arrive by carriage, their gowns rustling, gloved hands carrying small reticules. They gather in the drawing room, where the finest china is set upon linen-clad tables, and the scent of freshly brewed tea fills the air. Conversation flows easily here, though rarely touching on the grim realities of life in the mines. The talk is of fashion, the latest novels, recent engagements and births. Now and then mention is made of charitable efforts, a donation to the church, a box of food for the poorest families, spoken with a tone of gentle condescension. The true hardships faced by the miners remain largely abstract, distant from the comfort of these rooms. Occasionally, the owner's wife may invite a miner's wife to tea, usually one whose husband holds a favored position or whose family has long served the mine. It is a gesture of goodwill, carefully staged. The invited guest arrives nervous, dressed in her best, painfully aware of the gulf that lies between her world and that of her hostess. Polite conversation is exchanged. The owner's wife inquires about the family, the health of the children. She speaks kindly, if distantly, offering a few coins for the parish fund or a small gift for the children. The miner's wife responds with quiet respect, knowing well that this moment may bear consequences for her family standing. Behind the scenes, the servants observe with practiced indifference. They know the patterns of these visits, the unspoken judgments passed. They too live lives bounded by service, though theirs is a world of upstairs and downstairs, governed by its own strict codes. As the tea concludes, the guest is graciously dismissed, the ritual complete. For the owner's wife, it is a duty fulfilled, a point of pride to be mentioned at the next gathering. For the miner's wife, it is a brief, strange journey into another life, one that offers little hope of change. Let us remain here for a moment longer. In the next segment, we will follow this divide more deeply to see how the chasm between owner and worker shapes not just fortune, but understanding and the future of the mining world. Chapter 12. The Great Mining Disaster of 1894. The year's 1894. Across the coalfields of Britain, the rhythm of life beats steadily on. Men descend into the pits each day, lamps flickering as they vanish into the depths. Wives tend hearth and home. Children fill the lanes with laughter and errands. The dangers of the mine are known to all, spoken of quietly over meals, weighed heavily in the hearts of those who wait above. In one colliery, the morning begins as any other. The sky is gray, the air cool and still. Miners gather at the pit head, greeting one another with nods and brief words. Among them are fathers and sons, some working side by side. The cages lower them swiftly into the darkness, the tunnels alive with the sounds of industry. Picks strike rock, wagons rumble along their rails, voices echo faintly through the seams. Unseen by those below, a danger is growing. In a distant corner of the workings, a buildup of gas goes undetected. The ventilation system, long in need of repair, proves inadequate. Fire damp seeps into the tunnels, pooling in pockets and visible but deadly. Mid-morning approaches. A miner working near the seam strikes flint against steel, a momentary spark. In an instant, the gas ignites. A wall of flame races through the tunnels, devouring air, searing all in its path. The explosion thunders upward, a deep rumble felt across the valley. Above ground, men pause in their work, faces turning toward the pit head in sudden fear. Smoke and dust billow from the shaft. The ground trembles. Women and children run toward the colliery yard, eyes wide with dread. The whistle blows long and mournful, the signal of disaster. Word spreads swiftly. There has been an explosion. Rescue teams are assembled at once. Miners from neighboring pits arrive, tools in hand, ready to brave the ruins below. The air is thick with tension, voices hushed. The shaft is treacherous, the tunnels unstable. Afterdamp lingers, an invisible killer. Yet the rescuers descend, driven by duty and hope. In the darkness, they work tirelessly, clearing debris, searching for survivors. The tunnels are choked with rubble, timbers shattered, the walls scorched black. The lamps barely pierce the gloom. Now and then a faint cry is heard, a flicker of movement. Lives hang in the balance. Above, the village waits. Wives clutch their children, scanning each stretcher that rises from the depths. Some weep openly, others stand in stunned silence. Time stretches endlessly. Each hour brings news, some hopeful, many grim. The rescue continues through the day and into the night. Men work by shifts, their faces lined with exhaustion. The toll mounts steadily. For many families, hope gives way to mourning. The scale of the disaster becomes clear. Dozens lost, entire households bereft of fathers, brothers, sons. As the first light of dawn breaks, the rescuers press on. The full extent of the tragedy emerges. The dead are carried to the surface with care, their names whispered by those who knew them. The church bells toll in slow, solemn rhythm. Grief settles heavily over the valley. Let us remain in this moment a little longer. In the next segment, we will follow the aftermath of the disaster, the mourning, and the resilience of the community, and how this terrible event would echo far beyond the coalfields. Chapter 13. Songs of the Pitmen. Culture below the surface amid the hardships and dangers of mining life. A rich culture grows. In the small cottages and dim tunnels, in chapels and taverns, the miners create their own forms of expression. Chief among these are the songs of the pitmen, verses born from experience, passed from voice to voice, binding the community in shared memory. The songs tell of labor and love, of struggle and hope. Some are somber, recounting tragedies and losses. Others are light, filled with humor that eases the weight of daily toil. Many are taught from father to son, mother to daughter, becoming part of the family story. A miner's child may know the words to a dozen songs before they ever set foot in the pit. On quiet evenings, after the day's work is done, families gather around the hearth. The miner, his voice rough from dust and labor, might begin a familiar tune. His wife joins in softly, the children listening wide-eyed. The melody fills the room, the words painting images of life below ground and dreams above. In the chapels, too, song holds a place of honor. Hymns rise in solemn chorus, voices blending in reverence. The miners sing with strength, their faith a source of comfort in a world where tomorrow's return is never certain. The cadence of these hymns often echoes in the songs they sing at home and in the pit. In a tavern, after a long shift, the miners lift their voices in chorus. Tankards of ale in hand, they share the old songs, new verses added to mark recent events. One man begins a line, another answers, the whole room joining in the refrain. Laughter and tears mingle freely, the music a release from the burdens of the week. Some songs speak directly of the dangers faced. Tales of gas explosions, cave-ins, and close escapes are set to melody, their lessons carried in every note. To sing such a song is to remember those lost, to honor their memory, and to steel oneself for the days ahead. Other songs celebrate the strength of the miners, their skill, their endurance. They speak of camaraderie, of shared victories in the face of adversity. In these verses, pride finds voice. To be a pitman is to be part of a brotherhood, bound by toil and courage. There are also songs of love, of the miner's courtship, of longing and parting. The words speak tenderly of wives waiting by the hearth, of children dreaming of their father's safe return. In a life shaped by uncertainty, these songs hold deep meaning, giving voice to the emotions often left unspoken. New songs emerge with each generation. Events in the village, changes in the mine, victories of the Union, all find their way into verse. The songs evolve, yet they remain rooted in the shared experience of mining life. Through them, the past is remembered, the present understood, and the future imagined. As we linger in this world of melody and memory, let us next explore how these songs endure beyond the pit, shaping the identity of the mining communities and offering a link to those who came before. As the years pass, the songs of the pitmen remain a living part of the community. Though the faces around the hearth may change, the melodies persist. Children raised on these tunes carry them into adulthood, their voices blending with those of parents and grandparents. The songs become a bridge across generations, connecting past and present. At village gatherings, the old songs are sung with pride. Whether at a wedding feast, a holiday celebration, or a quiet evening among friends, the familiar strains draw people together. The lyrics may evolve with time, reflecting new events or shifting fortunes, but their core remains the same, an expression of life shaped by the mind and the bonds of family and friendship. In times of hardship, the songs take on new resonance. During strikes, when wages are lost and tensions run high, music offers solace and strength. A miner's voice raised in song reminds his comrades of shared purpose and resilience. The verses speak of unity, of the right to fair treatment, of the hope for a better future. Even in mourning, the songs hold their place. At funerals, hymns and ballads fill the chapel, their words honoring those lost to the pit. The melodies rise softly, carried on voices choked with grief yet steadied by tradition. Through song, the community remembers, grieves, and heals. Beyond the coal fields, the music of the miners begins to spread. Folklorists and musicians from the cities take an interest, visiting the villages to collect and record the old tunes. Some songs find their way into printed collections. Others are performed on distant stages. In this way, the voice of the miners reaches wider audiences. Their stories and struggles shared beyond their own tight-knit world. For those who leave the mines behind, whether through choice or necessity, the songs remain a tie to home. A miner's son working in a factory in the city may find comfort in an old tune hummed softly after a long day. A daughter, now married and far from the coal fields, may sing the verses to her own children, passing on the legacy. As change sweeps through the mining communities, as new technologies and shifting economies reshape the industry, the songs endure. They adapt, taking on new meanings, yet always reflecting the core truths of the miners' lives. In every note and every line, one hears the echo of the pick striking stone, the creak of the cage, the steady courage of those who labor in the depths. In these melodies, the miners find not just comfort, but a voice, one that speaks of endurance, of hope, and of the unbreakable bonds of community. As long as the songs are sung, the spirit of the pitmen lives on. Now, as we approach the end of this long journey, let us turn to a final chapter. We will follow one miner through his last shift, as he leaves behind the darkness of the pit and steps into a new life above ground. Chapter 14, the final shift. Leaving the mines behind, the morning is cool and quiet as the miner rises. Today will be his last day below ground. For more than 30 years he has labored in the pit, his body shaped by the work, his life measured by the rhythm of shifts and paydays. Now, age and the toll of the years have brought him to this moment. He moves slowly, joints stiff, breath wheezing faintly, but his mind is clear. His wife watches him prepare with mixed emotions. There is relief that he will no longer face the daily dangers of the mine, yet also uncertainty. The pit has been their life, its wages their livelihood. What comes next is unknown. Still, she helps him lace his boots, straightens his scarf, and presses a small kiss to his cheek. The walk to the pit head is familiar, each step along the path marked by countless memories. The village stirs to life, smoke curling from chimneys, children's voices drifting on the morning air. Neighbors greet him with quiet nods, knowing the significance of this day. At the pit head, his fellow miners gather, some already descending for their shift, others lingering to speak with him. Words are exchanged, hands clasped firmly. There is respect here, earned through years of shared labor and steady presence. Among the younger men, there is a note of admiration. To work the pit for so long, to endure and see retirement is no small feat. The cage descends one final time, the metal groaning softly as it carries him into the familiar depths. The air grows cooler, damper, the faint scent of coal and earth rising around him. In the tunnels, the lamps flicker, shadows dancing along the walls. He moves carefully, each corridor known by heart. The sounds of the mine surround him, the rhythmic strikes of pick against stone, the distant rumble of wagons, the quiet murmur of voices. At his post, he sets to work once more. The tools feel heavy in his hands, yet there's comfort in their weight. He works steadily, each swing deliberate, each shovel of coal loaded with purpose. Around him, the younger men watch, offering quiet support, knowing this day marks a turning point. As the hours pass, the miner pauses often, taking in the sights and sounds of the pit. Each beam and brace, each worn rail holds memories. He recalls the faces of those who once worked beside him, some long gone, others still here, their friendship a constant through the years. At midday, a simple meal is shared in the break room. Bread, cheese, a flask of weak tea. The conversation is easy, the mood respectful. Stories are exchanged, laughter rising in short bursts, the bonds of brotherhood evident in every glance. When the whistle sounds to mark the end of the shift, the miner lays down his tools. His hands linger on the worn handle of the pick, a quiet farewell. With measured steps, he makes his way back to the shaft. The cage waits, ready to carry him upward for the last time. Let us remain with him for this closing moment. In the next segment, we will follow his final ascent, his return to the light, and the first steps into a life beyond the mine. The cage shudders softly as it begins its slow rise. The miner stands with one hand resting against the frame, eyes half closed, listening to the familiar creaks and groans of the ascent. Around him, the younger men ride in respectful silence. Each knows this moment carries meaning, the final lift after decades in the pit. As the cage nears the surface, the air changes. It grows warmer, fresher. A faint breeze stirs, carrying scents long absent in the tunnels. The miner breathes deeply, savoring the simple act. Light seeps through the gaps above, growing brighter with each foot upward. Then the platform breaks into open air. Sunlight floods the space, harsh at first to eyes accustomed to darkness. The miner blinks, then lifts his gaze. The sky is pale, streaked with clouds, vast and open. It has been many years since he last truly looked at it during the working day. At the pit head, a small group has gathered. Fellow miners, neighbors, family. His wife stands among them, hands clasped tightly. The children, grown now, are there too, their faces filled with pride. As he steps from the cage, a cheer rises, modest but heartfelt. The colliery manager offers a handshake, a formal word of thanks, but it is the warm embraces of friends that matter most. The miner removes his helmet, runs a calloused hand through thinning hair. Coal dust lingers on his skin, a mark of years spent below. For a long moment he stands at the edge of the yard, taking in the sights and sounds of the village. They feel both familiar and strangely new. Without the weight of the shift ahead, the day stretches out in ways not known for decades. In the days that follow, life shifts gently. Mornings come without the pit whistle. The aches in his joints remain, but the deep weariness of the shift begins to fade. Tasks around the cottage occupy his hands, mending a gate, tending a small patch of garden. Walks through the village take on new pleasure, each face greeted with quiet recognition. Yet the absence of the mine is felt keenly. There is an emptiness where routine once ruled. The camaraderie of the pit, the shared purpose of labor, is missed in subtle ways. Evenings by the hearth are filled with stories, memories voiced for the first time in full. The songs of the pitmen take on deeper meaning now, their verses echoing years of experience. The community respects its elders. The retired miner becomes a source of knowledge, his words valued by younger men just beginning their own journeys below. He watches with both pride and concern, hoping they will see better conditions than he did, that the struggles of his generation will bear fruit. As time passes, life settles into a new rhythm. The miner finds peace in simple pleasures. A quiet afternoon in the sun. The laughter of grandchildren. The warmth of family gathered round. The pit still looms at the edge of the village, its whistle marking each day, but its grip upon him loosens. The life of a miner leaves its mark, in body and spirit. Yet in stepping away, in finding life beyond the darkness, there is dignity. The years of toil are honored not only in memory, but in the strength of the community that endures. Now, as our long journey draws to a close, let us step back and reflect upon the lives we have glimpsed, the labor, the loss, the resilience, and the threads of history that bind us still to those who once worked in the shadows below. And so, dear listener, we reach the end of our quiet journey into the world of the 19th century coal miner. Through the darkness of the pit, the struggles of daily life, the dangers faced, and the simple joys found along the way, we've traced the rhythm of lives shaped by coal and courage. As you rest now, perhaps with the eyes growing heavy, take a moment to reflect on how far we've come from those days. The lamps have dimmed, the tunnels grown silent, but the stories of the miners remain, carried in song and memory, and now in your mind as well. Thank you for spending this time with me here on The Drowsy Historian. If you enjoyed this gentle ramble through history, do consider leaving a little comment. I do love hearing from fellow sleepy historians. And if you'd like to hear more quiet tales from the past, feel free to give this video a like, share it with a friend who could use some rest. And of course, subscribe so you won't miss the next sleepy journey. Until then, may your dreams be peaceful and your nights soothed by the soft echoes of history. Good night and take care.